So, I mean, take me through what's going on with the former number one pick and the issue that we have now between Italy and the U.S.
Yes.
Where there's been scorched earth, which could impact a young man's life if he ever wants to go home again.
It is an international incident, folks, because unlike Victor Wembanyama saying, I think I'm just going to sit it out this year, Paolo Banchero has done an about face, whereas previously he said, I would love to play for the Italian national team and play in the Olympics, and then COVID happened, so he didn't get to do that. Now he is committed to playing for Team USA. The problem is, unlike, going to college, declaring, I'm going to go to North Carolina and say maybe a year after, this didn't work out, I want to transfer. Once you commit to a national team for playing on the senior national team, that's your team. And so the Italian Federation president, Gianni Petrucci, is reasonably pissed off about this decision.
I didn't find his response reasonable at all.
Well, let me read the quote, and you guys can judge. I'm not going to use an accent because
you shouldn't use an accent.
Betrayal is a big word. In sports, these things happen, and personally, I'm used to it. I consider it a joke. It was a legitimate decision, but he could have made a call to communicate that to us. Instead, we learned about his decision from newspapers. In the past few days, he was in Milan, and despite our agreements with his agency, he avoided the meeting with Coach Pacheco.
Pacheco.
Sick. Mm-hmm. S-I-C.
Yeah. He's not happy. He's not, but I don't blame him, David, because
he shouldn't be happy.
He hinged.
Don't air it publicly.
Why not?
Why?
It can't.
What's the upside?
He wants the player to do it the right way. Why should he not air it publicly?
Let me tell you the story of Goran Dragic. Right, Goran Dragic was born in Slovenia. His dad is Serbian. Right, born in Slovenia, grew up in Slovenia. He's Slovenian through and through. He's playing for the Slovenian national team. They're playing at Serbia, and literally the entire crowd, the entire game is just chanting "traitor, traitor, traitor" at him. Right, Slovenia loses the game. Do you know what the front page of the Slovenian newspapers was? Dragic throws game because his dad is Serbian. I say this story to tell you that they are not even-keeled at all over there when it comes to sports, particularly national team play. They are unhinged, all of them. That's their culture of sport. So this statement, while I agree with you, if this were the coach or the GM of a team here in the NBA and a guy said, I'm signing with you guys, and then he signed somewhere else, I agree with you. You just say, I thought we had a deal, but, whatever. We wish him the best of luck. You take the high road always. Just like when you fire a coach, you take the high road. I gave the Chicago Bulls a lot of crap a couple of years ago when they fired Tibbs and told us why in the press release. I'm like, no. Just say, hey, best of luck. We're moving on.
I was very good at those releases, very quick. We're going in a different direction.
You had a lot of practice.
But this is different.
This is different. This is national team stuff, and this is, again, their culture over there is to go scorched earth every single time.
I think they were just angry at the U.S. and Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr did a major recruiting job. This was about recruiting. I was wondering.
No, they were angry at a player who made a commitment to the country and then bailed on that commitment.
So the USA had nothing to do with this.
I'm certain the USA did have something to do with it, and that contributes to their frustration.
But also, David, that's the thing that I think they don't get over there, because sometimes they think, this kid is very proud of his heritage. Of course, he wants to play for us. And they don't realize for players in this country, at some age, you're like, if I get to play the Olympics, I'll play for Italy or Ghana or whatever. But then you get to a point where I'm good enough to play for Team USA? Oh, no, I want to play for them. It's not even really a recruiting pitch that's that strong, other than you're
in basketball, not in soccer, right?
In other
Just
sports
basketball.
is different. But in basketball, these kids, Bam Adebayo could play for Nigeria. But he's like, why would I play for Nigeria when I can play for Team USA and have an Olympic gold medal? Because that's basically it. You're guaranteeing yourself hardware when you play for Team USA.
I can't picture the head of the Nigerian Basketball Association going against Bam if Bam chose U.S. over Nigeria.
If Bam committed,
if Bam committed verbally.
There is no indication, right, of verbal commitment. You commit verbally to be in every day.
Yeah.
What does that
Wow.
mean? Right?
Right.
It doesn't.
And I don't make that verbal commitment, by the way.
No, but you say, I'll be here, I won't be here.
Right.
And there's nothing we can do unless you're in violation of a contract.
Right.
There was no contract in this case.
No, there was no contract. But again,
it's a lot of action around the decision of a young man with the World Cup. And I feel for him. I feel for the player, and I'm an owner guy.
But you realize from Italy's standpoint, okay, we have this great player. He's committed to play with us, and now we just lose another player to the United States, right?
So you move on. You try to get him
It's a
the
little
next
To
hard.
who? To a player who's not nearly
he's
as good.
wait,
He's a generational talent, though. Like you move on. It's like, all right,
Right.
another 20 years before the
Was
next.
he the difference maker?
For them,
Would Italy have been a contender in the World Cup
to get to like because
to
again,
medal?
not only the medal, but you got to understand when you're playing in these international tournaments, there are points that you get. And this is true. Mike, back me up. This is true with like soccer and everything. It's like
Those soccer players get a one-time change.
when you, but like I'm just saying, the team finish affects where you are in the world rankings, and that affects whether you qualify for other tournaments or you have to play in pre-qualifying events. So there's more to it than just did you win or did you medal. There's a pressure to perform well because that ensures that you stay at the highest level of competition.
So for World Baseball Classic, we do things like that. When it started, the higher you finish, it's the more money you get to make your program even better.
Yeah, that too.
So that's common.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm asking Italy, how much money was at stake, do you think? If you
them?
had to guess. Because when I saw this answer, this visceral anger, I assumed it was money related.
$1 million.
That's where my head was. I thought they had some inkling that with him on the team, they were in line to get something. Because otherwise, there'd be no reason.
I think it was probably a marketing strategy because one of the things that Petrucci said, he says he fooled us. We were planning a great commercial strategy for him. So like you can get a lot of mileage out of a guy like that going to play in Italy and just selling his freaking jerseys.
Yeah, I mean, said very eloquently, but yes, that's
right?
like there's
Like, that's
like
what's going
merchandising. There's endorsement deals with sponsorships. There's a lot of stuff going on there when you could say, hey, we have one of the best players in the NBA playing for us. They milk it, and again, all that money
get
goes
it
to
in
the
writing.
federation.
Get it
Well,
in writing.
of course. I mean, like, look,
What is your issue? That the guy took
the guy's
him out
upset.
publicly?
Yes. I actually don't like the fact
You
that
want
a
him to
young
call
kid,
him on his cell and just have a nice, stern conversation with him?
100. Wouldn't that
That's the
be
more professional way to-
unreal if you handled it that way, like person to person, without calling someone out publicly?
Well, did he call the coach from Italy to say, hey, I'm not playing?
This is.
Or did he announce it publicly?
We are hearing that he announced it publicly. Not ideal. So it's possible that his reaction was to that. But when you are an owner or the head of a federation, you have to be better than the player.